And now I got the super clean haircut. Check it out, much better. All right, I gotta get the ladies away from me now. that doesn't happen. See, his laugh is here. All right, all right, let's go build an engine.
All right.
Oh, but wait, we first gotta go by the warehouse and go pick up all the parts that arrive for it. So I'm gonna stop over there first, pick up all the gaskets and parts that arrive for the engine, and then we're gonna start assembling this thing. Guys, remember that I always go to the Chewy Boba place on my way to Adam's house? This time I got out of the warehouse and I met the owner of the Chewy Boba place. He was sitting right next to me. He asked me about the Big Boost stuff. Really cool guy. I might actually hang out with him later. Well guys, it looks like this is gonna be one of those long nights at the shop, or in this case garage. I had to make myself some cappuccino because since I can't drink straight coffee. I got here the pistons. I decided to go ahead and polish every single one of them. They're like mirror polish. I can definitely see myself in them now. It doesn't gain anything from polishing the top of the pistons, but since the block is so shiny now, I couldn't resist and make the pistons look the same. That way, when I'm assembling the engine, it looks as good as it is. So it's as aesthetically pleasing as the engine itself. So I have to do this. Tell me it doesn't look great. I think it's a really good feature. So now the first step that I'm gonna do on the engine is gonna be to install the crankshaft. I already cleaned everything after getting machined. You know, I have to clean all the machining debris away. You have to clean every single orifice in the block, wash it. Then I go ahead and use brake cleaner, clean everything out once more. And then you gotta also lubricate and clean the piston, the cylinder walls with shop towel like this one and automatic transmission fluid, or ATF. It's the same thing. Those who don't know, ATF is actually a transmission fluid. So you can use that one. It can be any one. I just use the general use one or multi-use. It doesn't matter what grade it is. And then you coat the cylinder walls with that, and you'll notice that the shop towel is gonna turn out gray. So that means you're taking material off that didn't normally come off with the brake cleaner, and then you prep the cylinders to accept the new pistons in. Also cleaning everything like that helps improve braking period. You can get a faster braking period after doing that. Also, you don't get as much contaminants in the oil during braking period. That way you don't get metal or stuff in the bearing surfaces and so on. So it's better. Just that's the right way to do it. So now it's time to install the crankshaft. I'm gonna be installing the crankshaft first, and then I'm gonna proceed to gapping the piston rings to the right tolerances, and then I gotta install the new pistons on the H-beam rods and remove the old cracked pistons and throw them in the garbage or something. Or should I save them and probably give them away? I don't know who might want it, but I might just throw them in the garbage. I don't really want them. They failed on me twice. So I don't want anything else to do with stock pistons. Here is the engine block. As you can see, it's been fully machined. Now look how beautiful this thing looks once cleaned up. Since this is a chain-driven engine, the chain goes in here and it has a front cover that meets with the head as well. So if you're gonna surface a block, you need to bring the front cover, and it needs to be bolted on so it can get surfaced with the block itself too. That way the head gasket can seal properly, because everything will be the same height, and that way you won't have a slope over here. If you do, then you have a gap and then you have head gasket problems. So make sure to do that. That's the right way to do this. So now I'm going to remove the front cover. What do you guys think about the satin black color that I chose for the engine block? It's like the perfect color for this thing. The engine has been fully stripped down, and then I proceed to clean the main caps with a rag and brake cleaner. Got all the grease off from the bearing surface. Now I gotta install the oil jets that go in these little holes here. Then put the bearing, put the crankshaft on, and then put the main caps on. So I have the main caps over here, 1 through 7. Same thing with the bearings, I already had labeled them 1 through 7. I'm gonna start by cleaning the bearings up and putting them in the block and on the corresponding cap. I'm going to start with the number 1 bearing. I'm gonna clean the back part of it. Make sure there's no oil on it. So probably clean the front too. I'm gonna put some assembly lube on that. Then install it like this. It has a little keyway on it. Then I'm gonna do the same thing with the cap bearing. And then I'm gonna put it like this as well. So the cap bearing is a solid one. The one with the groove is the one that goes on the block. The number 2 bearing has this little jet. If I can get it to focus on it. Anyways, you can probably see it right here. So it's this brass looking thing. And it goes right in here like this. What this does, it uses oil pressure from the cap. And then it shoots it at the piston to cool the piston down with oil. It also helps lubricate the wrist pin on the piston. Now I must apply some assembly lube on all the bearings. Make sure to coat them pretty good. Then after you do that, then spread it uniformly throughout the whole bearing surface. That way there's no part that can touch metal to metal. And that way you prevent premature wear of your bearings. Now I can install the crankshaft into the engine. Be very gentle. And it's now lowered into place. There we go. Now I need to apply more assembly lube on all of the grooves. Then after I do that, I like to spin it around a little bit. That way spreads the assembly lube everywhere. Let's move it back and forth a little bit. There you go. Now I'm gonna start from the first cap to the last one. So I'm gonna start with number 1 through 7 and put a little bit of assembly lube like this on the cap. And then make sure that your bearing, the little guide pin, is facing with the other guide pin. If they're facing away from each other, then you have it backwards. It's like a lockout thing, so it prevents the bearing from spinning around and moving. That way it gets locked in place. If you put it the other way around, you're gonna spin a bearing and you're gonna have engine failure. Oops. Thrust bearing, which is cap number 6, you want to put some here and you want to also put some on both sides. That way the thrust surface also is lubricated. The main cap bolts will be torqued to 20 Newton meters, and then after that, I'm gonna degree them to 50 degrees. So that way it gives the rod bolt, that way it gives the main bolt the correct stretch. So let's start with this. I'm gonna start from the center. My tool turned off. All right, that's 20 Newton meters. Now I can change the units on this, and I'm gonna set it 2 degrees. Set it still. And now I can set 50 degrees. And then there you have it. Right now the next one. I gotta zero it out. Okay, come on, reset. There you go. All right, this time I didn't forget to do one of them, so all of them are torqued and degreed. I'm even gonna repeat the video just in a second, just to have a second opinion on this. I don't want to be going crazy again like last time that I forgot it and I had to take the oil pan off while the engine was in the car, which just sucks. That is terrible. I'm never doing that again. Here are the old pistons and the H-beam rods. All of them are broken, as you can see here. I can probably move it a little bit, not that side. This one's also broken. This one's broken probably on another area. Oh, right there. I can get it to focus. There you go. This one's broken, multiple locations, same thing. This one is also broken. And then on this one, number 6 was like the worst one. You can see I took the whole side of the ring line off. It just came right out as soon as I took the top ring off. So it has a big hole, the piston just missing. So the top of the piston looks like this side was like getting hotter than this side. I don't know, that probably had to do with braking or whatever. So now I have to remove the clips from the piston. This is a little circlip that holds the piston, the wrist pin in place, so I can then use these rods with the new bicycle pistons. Be sure to use safety glasses when doing this. Last time I was doing that, or many times it actually happened, I'll be honest, it just flies right across the room and it disappears, and that could go straight in your eye and you will not have an eye anymore. This is how these come out. You just literally poke it right here, then gently, you see, I told you, it just flew across the room. I don't even know where it landed. It's gone. It disappeared. Well, that's out of the way, so now I can go from the other side and just push the wrist pin off, and the rod comes out. And I can just I can probably just throw this out somewhere, or I'll save them for like 2 days in case somebody wants to do anything with these. I'm gonna take number 2 over here. See which side looks easier to do. This is scary. I don't want it to fly out of my face. Really? Come on. Why couldn't it be the other way around? Alright, that one's out. I managed to get it out without it flying away. Just push this out. Put the rod over here. Piston over there. I'll just put the rings wherever. I'm not gonna reuse them anyways. It doesn't really matter. This one, it's like all the way. There's so many mosquitoes. Stop trying to bite me all night. That's annoying. That one's out. Come on, get out of there. All right. Now I can clean the rods out and start installing the new pistons in. Before I can do that, every single one of the new pistons has to be checked. There's sometimes a lot of machining that's still not cleaned. Little pieces of aluminum might still be in the orifices, so I gotta get those out. So I'll go one by one and inspect for materials. And then if it's all clears out after I clean them, then I can start putting them on the rods. All right, here we go. I'm gonna also show you guys what I was doing earlier today. And I went ahead and hand polished all of the piston crowns. So they're all like mirror polished right now. Look at that, you can even see yourselves in there. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it got all these orifices. I gotta check for contaminants still being in there. I wonder if this one has anything still on it. If I can like get it to properly focus on there. So I think this one still has a little piece of aluminum in there. I have everything laid out on the table. I have all 6 pistons. I have the 6 rods, the 6 new wrist pins, and I have 6 baggies of the circlips or retainer rings that hold the wrist pins in place. I'm gonna have to install a set of wrist pins on each side of the piston. That way I can slide the wrist pin and rod in and then lock the other side. So just do one set, one side of the pistons first, then you assemble one, put the clip, assemble the other one, put the clip, and so on. All right, so this time I'm gonna have to put my safety glasses back on because I don't want the ring flying in my face. If it does, hopefully that doesn't ever happen. but I'm recording it. That way it does happen, it'll be on video. I'm gonna start with, get away mosquitoes. I'm gonna start with this one here. To install the rods, first we're gonna need assembly lubricant. I'm gonna take one of these dowel pin, wrist pins. I don't know why I keep saying dowel pin. It's like 12 something at night, so I'm kind of tired. So if I say things wrong more than usual, please bear with me, I'm sorry. Now that I lube this wrist pin, I'll just slide through the part that doesn't have a clip. Just gotta make sure you get it perfectly straight in there. Sometimes it's kind of hard. It's such a tight tolerance. Now, I also had marked the front of the front part of the piston, and then I also marked the front of the rod so it has the right orientation. Put them on like this and press. Get it all the way in there. And I have my first piston and rod already put on. So I have to put the clip on the other side and it's done. The assembly lubricant is really thick, especially now that it's like really cold out. So it barely moves, like that's one down, 5 to go, and I'm slimy from this stuff. To install the wrist pin clips on the other side is just pretty much repeating the process on the other thing. I already went ahead and did that. I didn't want to record the same step twice. I think it would be kind of boring. So now the next step will be to gap the rings. To do that, that's why I put the rods on the pistons first. What I do, I normally install the oil control rings here first, and then I'll use that to be able to push the ring with the piston down about that distance there. That way I get to measure the rings perfectly center and flat on the cylinders to get an accurate reading. On this piston, since they're stroker, the wrist pin is higher up. That way it's getting in the way of the oil control ring. So these pistons bring this additional ring, which is pretty much a base that goes on the bottom of this ring to seat the oil control ring. Here's a better look at this. The ring, as you can see, it goes here. So it's pretty much just making a flat surface for the oil control ring. It has a little dimple that goes here, and then the other part goes like 90 degrees offset from the wrist pin, like so. That's what specifies on the instructions. Here I have all the piston rings laid out, 1 through 6. I already went ahead and installed the oil control rings in all the pistons. That doesn't require adding clearance. I just went ahead and put them on. So for ring gap this time, I'm gonna go ahead and do top ring is gonna be 19 and bottom ring is gonna be 21. So I'm gonna run it super loose, even more loose than the. So right here we have straight high performance straight and strip motor turbo nitrous. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it pretty much like it was a blown race only, but just a little bit smaller than that. So instead of being in between those, it's gonna be right in between those two. That way I'm not blown race only and a little bit bigger than straight motor turbo nitrous. I have already this filler gauge that came apart in my box. So I have the 21 right here. If I can get it to focus. There we go. And then that one is 19. So I'm gonna start with the number 1 ring, and I'm gonna grind it all the way on the other side of the table. Not like last time when I was grinding over here, so I'm gonna grind all the way over there. Place a piston ring right here like this. Put this on the edge of the table so I can turn it. And make sure you're grinding it straight. Wait, this way. Really? Stop moving. Here's what I do to put the piston rings in place. Put them in there, and then use the piston and push it down, and then you'll seat the piston on the oil control ring. That way you can get the piston ring to be straight. Now I take my filler gauge. Oh, really? There you go, this is what you want to see. So the piston ring is just big enough for this to fit snug on there, but not too tight. Just going right there. Done. Now I have to do the same thing on all 5 other cylinders. The top piston rings are all set to 19. Now I'm gonna remove those and measure where the secondary rings are, and then grind them to 20 or 21. Let me see what they are first, and then I'll decide what I'm gonna grind them down to. This is like the biggest relief ever. So I put all the rings in, and they're all already to 21. Yes. So it makes everything a lot faster. Now time to install the piston rings on the new pistons. And for that you need this tool right here, which is a piston ring expander. What this does, it allows you to expand the piston ring over the piston and install it properly without twisting or warping the ring. So what you do, you put the piston ring like this, and it allows you to expand it over the piston like this. And there you go, that's one ring installed. Now for the top ring, also look for the top mark. Yes, you guys can see it. I don't know if you can see it right there where my thumb is. There you go. Now very importantly, face one ring one way and the other one exactly the opposite way. That way there's one gap this way and one gap that way. Repeat the same thing with all the other pistons. Also this time I'm gonna be using a conventional piston ring compressor, since I don't have the billet one for this bore. I have 84mm, 86 and 87, but I don't have 84.5, which is what this bore is. I'm gonna just use this. Just put the piston right over it. Take the little square L-shaped tool and crank it down. Make sure that this is like flat flush thingy, you know. All right, so we got it pretty much where we want it. Now I gotta remove the rod cap. Then, very importantly, put some assembly lubricant on the bearing surface. Nice little stripe like this. Then I have the piston orientation. That means it's gonna go just like this. Slide it right in the middle. Then this sits like this. Now, I need to grab to use a rubber mallet with this, and it's gonna tap this flush. So the ring compressor is flush against the block. Then with the bottom side, you're gonna gently tap down on the piston. And then now that it's flush, get it all the way down. There. Now I will rotate the engine and install the cap. Same thing, I'm gonna make sure it's clean, there's nothing, there's a little bit of dirty oil in it. Put some assembly lube on this. Make sure it's facing the right side, so the keyway thingy of the bearing has to face the one on the rod. Put the bolts snug for now, and now I'm gonna take care of the number 6 cylinder. I rotate the engine back, and I'm gonna first I gotta uncompress this thing. Make sure I can put the new piston on. Guys, last night my camera died, so I had to put it to charge. I ended up completing the piston assembly. So now I need to really hurry up because I went to bed like at 5 in the morning and I woke up almost at noon. And my day is really short, so I gotta try to make this quick and get this thing assembled by the end of the day so I can make this video for you guys. I car ready for the open house on Sunday, which is very important. Everybody's gonna be there and I wanna show up my car.